Not too long ago, we all got to play Battlefield 6 open beta, and the common thing I was seeing, and I did feel myself, was that the maps did feel a little bit on the smaller side for what we're usually accustomed to when it comes to playing a Battlefield game. Earlier this week, I was given access to play Mirak Valley, one of the new maps coming to the game, which we never got to play in the beta, and this was with a bunch of other creators, and this map is labelled to be one of the larger maps that is going to be coming at launch on October 10th. Mirak Valley is set in a rugged valley environment divided by a central riverbed flanked with these two huge mountain ranges, and I have to say I do think they've nailed the feel on this map. In this video I'm going to be giving you my thoughts and my experience of this map, some of the things I think they've changed since the beta, but before we get into all that, if you do enjoy this type of content, don't forget to leave a like to help us out with that YouTube algorithm, and if you're new around here, don't forget to subscribe for more content. It really supports the channel. Now, first off, the atmosphere and the setting in this one, in my opinion, is the best out of all the maps that we've played so far. With the destruction off in the distance and the non-playable space, the snow-covered mountain range, the river cutting through the valley, and the smoke just creating this gritty feel to the map. I do think it's awesome. But I want to talk about the elephant in the room here, and that is the scale of this map. Does it actually feel like a conquest-sized map? And does the flow of play differ from what we've played in the beta? I would say yes to both of those questions. I think with Mirak Valley, they have struck a nice balance when it comes to the pace, having those moments of like non-stop action like we had in the other maps, but there is also times where if you need to breathe, that you can actually do that. I felt with some of the maps that we played in the beta that I just got mentally exhausted with the nature of just constant action. I just couldn't take the time, you know, to think about my next move. I couldn't even look away from my screen or talk to my chat, or I would literally be dead, and it just didn't feel like the pace that we are used to when it comes to a Battlefield game. Mirak Valley for me definitely felt different, and different in a good way. I think the way they've designed the spawn and capture points work very well, as they're designed to keep you engaged without feeling like you're endlessly just running, but it doesn't feel too overwhelming in the sense that it's like a spawn die, which is the way I felt it was when we played the maps back in the beta. One of the things I really like about this map is that there is more verticality, so if you wanted to, you could go to the roof of a building, set up a position and just rain down fire from above. If sniping is more your thing, you could set up a position in one of the cranes. I do think you can actually blow one of the cranes up though, so just be aware of that. I'm positive they can be destroyed. When I got into the map, I think it's already been destroyed, so we kind of missed that, but I'm sure it's like a levolution kind of thing going on there. The big difference for me is that you have more freedom to run around and make those flanks that you want to make without feeling like you're forced to just run down the same pre-made lanes like the other maps we had when we were playing the beta. I enjoyed the overall landscape design as well, plenty of places to take cover, and I also really like the colour palette on this map as well. It felt like there was a nice blend of infantry and vehicle combat. I'm not a biggest user of vehicles, so if you're looking for that, you're probably going to need to find someone else here on YouTube. I did try the heli, and as you can see here, it went terribly wrong, but it does give you a nice overview of the map at least. And I did have a go at the tank. Both felt very well. They felt like they played really nice here on Mirak Valley, but again, I'm not a big user of the vehicles. I'm more an infantry based player. When it comes to the main POI in this map, which is the centre of the map where the two buildings are, this is where you're most likely going to find the hectic gameplay I was speaking about earlier. If you want that non-stop action, this is where you'll find it. There was multiple different levels in these buildings as well, where there was kind of like little mini battles going on different floors throughout the building, and it just felt really, really cool. There's multiple ways to access the floors as well, via stairways, zips, and even the assault ladders from like the assault class. When I was inside these buildings, this is where I actually realised I could hear footsteps. Now, I say that because I remember back in the beta and when we were at the Battlefield event, I could not hear any footsteps at all. It almost felt like there was, like they were just non-existent. In some cases I could hear them, but then it was more cases, more often than not, that I just couldn't hear footsteps at all. But here, when inside, I could pinpoint where someone was coming from. So I'm not sure if they've actually done something with the audio here, but I could definitely hear footsteps more clearly, which is a massive thumbs up for me, because like I was saying, it was one thing that was very annoying when I was back in playing the beta. Something else I noticed here was the TTK. Now, I'm not sure if it's just the gun I was using. I was using the RPKM, and that did feel really nice, by the way. The TTK felt so much more consistent. It just felt better overall than it did before, and as well as the hit reg and the desync. So I hope, you know, the way that it felt here continues on over to release. because one of the main concerns I had for release was the fact that in the beta I was just constantly dying behind cover, and the time to kill was definitely not matching the time to death. It was like almost taking all the damage in one bullet. So what I felt here when I played, it felt a lot more consistent, and I really hope that continues over into when the game is released. So it feels like they might have ironed that issue out here. I never got around to using the assault class, but I did see some people using the assault ladder, and it looks really cool. Could be really handy in reaching rooftops to gain an advantage in a gunfight, and they are deployed pretty quick as well. The defibs is something that I noticed was a big change here when I was playing. The defibs on the support class now have like this spark animation when you pull off a successful revive, and they actually feel like they have some character behind them now, unlike before where there was nothing and you was just like throwing and flailing your arms around in front of you. It actually feels punchy and like they're a proper defib now, so they also just feel like they work better as well. When I was in the beta, it didn't feel like you were, you know, when you're standing over a body and you're trying to revive them, it was like I was just constantly standing there trying to do it. I actually died a couple of times because of it, but now it feels like they've kind of got rid of that problem and they just work as intended. One thing I would like to say to DICE here is, if they could, and please, I know this is probably something that is going to be common amongst the Battlefield community, is please tone down the glare from the sun. Like, it is far too bright, and if you look at it, or if you're coming out of a building and that is in your direction, like in your line of sight, you are not seeing anything. It is so blinding. The lighting inside the buildings was actually better. I thought it was a lot better than what it was back in the beta. Overall, I've had a blast playing Mirak Valley. It's been by far the best experience I've had on BF6 so far. From being at the event to then playing in the open beta, I can easily say this has been my favourite map to play on. And it did feel more like a traditional Battlefield Conquest map rather than a TDM Conquest. And it also made it better the fact that we won and we were the top squad. As always, guys, thank you for supporting the content. Hit that like button, sub if you're new around here, and I'll catch you all in the next one.